Frogman Friday.
Yeah, boy.
What's up, dudes? It's that time again. Welcome to the Frogman Friday show.
Presented by Transcend, the best peptide and hormone therapy. They put your health first so you can live more and worry less. Go to transcendcompany.com/Birdman to begin your wellness transformation today.
Today, our badass guest is Bobby Holland, aka Bobby, aka Leadbob. He served 21 and a half years as a Navy SEAL, retiring as a Chief Warrant Officer 3. He founded Hoolie in 2023 in Southern California. You can catch Bobby on Facebook, Instagram, X, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And to take a deeper dive, go check out HoolieGolf.com. Fast note, I've heard from many sources that Bobby is Kurt Russell's personal hero. Welcome to the show, bro.
All right. Thanks for having me on, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. So let's dig in real quick. So this is something I always start off with is you're an entrepreneur now. You served a full career in a special operations community, which is no easy feat. And then you get out and now you've started this, and on the surface, everything looks wonderful. But what was your transition like?
Yeah, man. I think it's different. People getting out in different stations of their career. So someone getting out at the 5-10 year mark, dealing with a lot of different challenges than someone, who ends up retiring out. And I think one challenge that, most of us that are doing a full career there is, what the hell do we do next? My entire career, 20 plus years. That's all I knew. I basically grew up in the teams. Pretty daunting there. So I was a little bit kind of lost into what happens next. I did a program called the Honor Foundation. There's other similar programs, and I found it, very helpful, honestly, because what it did is it just allowed me to kind of take the blinders off for a minute and, just like unwrap this whole team guy persona, this thing that I built, this whole other person that I built over 21 years or whatever, and just kind of like, see what makes me tick and how I can apply that into, my next career and the rest of my life and this whole kind of next chapter concept. And, it's pretty daunting, man. You look at your skills that you've kind of developed and, the things that jump out, the, security side, kind of the more team guy side, consulting business, some other things. And nothing was really kind of reaching out and clicking with me. So I decided to go to business school, just because I felt like it, just kind of extended that runway for me to figure it out. And hopefully in the process, I thought I would build a network, build some skills, and then I would have this huge epiphany, which I was waiting for a really long time. And then it just kind of happened. So as luck would have it, I ended up enrolling into UCLA's executive MBA program through Anderson, and was waiting to class up and basically had the idea for Hoolie. And at that point, it was a very immature idea. But the seed had been planted, and then, ended up going to school, and, I'm sure we can hit some of that later, but, ended up kind of running with it.
It's amazing, what you mentioned about, the difference between the 8 to 10 year guys and the 20 career guys. It's so true because I've seen this firsthand. I'm an 8-year guy. So getting out for me, the transition sucked. And it was only 8 years because that is all I knew as well as a young guy. And now at least I have this step where I'm like, okay, I'm still young enough to where I can jump into the mix, learn some stuff, and then kind of get going. Whereas guys who full career like you're really starting after everything. And it's like, all right, am I going to go work for somebody who's 25, just graduated college and is talking down to me and legitimately have to bite my tongue? And you're starting completely from scratch again. And again, I didn't know the skill sets either of like, how do I present myself? Like I was a sniper. Yeah. So what does that offer the civilian community? Like, dude, I can shoot long distance. What cool. This is corporate America, homie. It doesn't work. It's cool. You get your foot in the door, but what do you offer now? So yeah, that's awesome that you went and took that executive MBA program because That's the biggest thing I see with team guys today is that they create these wonderful ideas, but they just don't know how to execute them because they don't have the simple basics of business. So
Yeah, man, you hit the nail on the head there, and there's not a right time to get out, right? Like what you said there, you got out at the 8 year mark. You're young enough, you have the energy to start a new career, kind of start over. So that's a benefit to you, and maybe you don't have the military retirement, so there's like some other things, that may be a little bit more difficult. It's difficult no matter what time you get out as a team guy, or a service member. It's going to be difficult. There's just different challenges, and yeah, man, I mean, honestly, like that was really, yelling at my face, like, man, do I want to have a 25-year-old boss, start all the way from scratch, climbing the corporate ladder, dealing with, I'm sure there's great companies out there, but you hear about this kind of nasty corporate culture and dealing with that shit. And so, entrepreneurship was just kind of, planting that seed that, hey, come check me out. Maybe there's another way. Um, yeah, man, no, it's good stuff.
it's freedom. It's freedom for sure. I have a buddy who's a Top Gun guy, and he got out and he was working for this company, literally riding pine behind a desk, looking at spreadsheets all day. And he called me one day. He's like, "Dude, I am losing my effing mind." And I'm like, "Why?" Because I was caught off guard. I'm like, "Why? You all right?" And he's like, "I was flying an F-18, and now I'm sitting behind a desk looking at a computer." I was like, "That sounds exactly the same, bro." And he's like, "Dude, I gotta quit." And he ended up quitting that day, which was awesome. So it's I am my hats off to you guys who stay in a full career and then transition out and figure it out, because there's something I've also seen too. There's a degree of maturity that you have when you serve a full career to get out and kind of
Yeah.
speed your process up in the entrepreneurial world than somebody like me who still is like in that E5, E6 kind of E dog scenario that's like, I still want to go party, I still want to go hit it, and
Yeah.
just not right there. So yeah, that's awesome. All right, so let's get into Hoolie Golf, man. Talk about like why did you create this? Just let's start from the scratch and just tell us everything we need to know about it.
Yeah, man. So, about 13 years ago, we found ourselves, my platoon was, pending our deployment, and we were waiting on this nasty piece of paper called a deployment order, which I knew nothing about in other deployments, and it was only because this deployment ended up getting delayed for a ridiculous amount of time. I hadn't heard of any other situation in my entire career where something like this happened, but we basically got delayed for, close to 6 months, 5 6 months, and they were stringing us along in, kind of 2 week increments. So we had, like, our ISUs were packed. We were ready to roll out. We think we're going to deploy. Our families are ready. And then they're like, yeah, sorry, guys. We'll deploy in 2 weeks. And they just strung us along. Some other teams ended up doing some really long deployments. It was kind of a nasty time. But anyways, my OIC had the, bright idea probably a couple of weeks into it. He's like, let's take the boys golfing.
Okay.
And we ended up going to, CNR Golf Course, which is, the local, golf course right next to base. And, yeah, we went out, man. It was full like Navy SEALs, the movie, just a full platoon worth of dudes in golf carts. Only a couple knew how to golf, and everyone else was just having a blast and zooming around. And, I was one of those guys. I didn't grow up golfing, man. I grew up playing, physical contact sports, football, wrestling, you name it. And, I just thought I was kind of the anti golfer. I didn't get it. The culture didn't make sense. None of it made sense. And then something happened during that round, which is the thing that kind of unites us, all of us Hoolies here. But, I just hit a shot, man. I hit a couple good shots. It came sweet off the face. And, anyways, man, I from that point on, I became highly addicted to golf. Golf is a drug. I don't care what anyone else says. If you're highly competitive, whatnot, like, watch out. It will invade your life and it will kind of wreck everything. And that's kind of what happened. It became my obsession. I ended up getting clubs. We did do that deployment. I deployed with my clubs in Iraq and hit into a net and just couldn't get golf out of my mind. And, it just grew over the next, decade or so. And then I found myself, as I was talking about earlier, I'm looking for this lifeline. I ended up going to business school. I had this seed for Hoolie. It was just an idea. And I had to take an entrepreneurship elective, or sorry, I had to take an elective. And I opted to take a entrepreneurship elective. And you either had to join a team or you had to create a team and recruit people. And the idea was just to explore an idea that you had to see if there was kind of a there. Like, do you have a problem? Do you have a solution? Is there a market for it? Just kind of an introductory class. So I ended up doing that. The first person I looked in, we had this, just old school PDF lookbook, with just, or sorry, it was kind of like a old school Facebook where you just had a person's bio, like a short bio and a picture. And I was going through looking for hobbies that were golf. And I ended up finding the first guy I recruited on the team. His name's Kevin Lee. He was the first person I recruited to Hoolie, and he actually ended up joining the company. He's one of the co-founders. So, but anyways, we ended up taking Hoolie all the way through. So we took it through that class, and then we saw that there was something there. We were having fun doing what we were doing, and there's a whole entrepreneurship track at UCLA Anderson's program, and we just wrote it through. So it ended up being about a year and a half, and we just dug into the problem. In the market, we did a bunch of market research. And then during that time, we started to flesh out, what the brand is, what our focus is. And so we ended up graduating that. And by the end of it, I had incorporated with Kevin, and we decided to move forward. He has a background in apparel and garment sourcing and operations, so it was a perfect fit there. And then it took another 9 months or so to get to market. It's all fuzzy and warm ideas, when it's a school research project, and then you graduate. It's like, okay, what do we do next? And we had to figure out, all the pieces from sourcing. We hired a designer to help us out. So, what designs we're going to lean with. How do we create a brand? How do we separate ourselves? And then we ended up launching in April of 23, man. And it's been kind of a wild 18 months since.
So I learned about you first. Beggs came to town, and he came and stayed over, and he had one of your ball caps on. It was the cross. And it was like, what is that? It said Hoolie on it. I was like, anytime I hear the word Hoolie, I'm like, first operator, then firefighter. But I'm like, what is that? And he's like, that's my buddy's company. I was like, that's pretty cool. And then he told me it was golf. And I was like, I'm that one guy that you mentioned earlier that just can't do golf because I'm highly competitive and I am so bad at golf. So I just jump out of airplanes because I have a better shot at landing on a bigger target than hitting a ball in a tiny little hole. But that was such a cool, really cool baseball cap. And I was like, you know what? That's pretty sweet. So I love your logo, the simplicity yet what it is and how it really bridges between tactical and what your career used to be and what you're doing now and your passion. So I think that's really unique. So, okay. So you found this.
Real quick, can I jump in? Just because you mentioned the name, and I love kind of telling this aspect of it because not everyone knows that. You mentioned the Hoolie. If you're a fireman, a Halligan tool is normally what you use in the teams. We use it. It's a Hoolie. Anyways, when I was coming up with the name, I was trying to find something from my background to have a little bit of a connection there. I was a breacher. Yeah, I just like the way it sounded. I was like, yeah, I like it, man. And when I had that epiphany, this, back before I even classed up, it was the very first word that jumped in my mind. And anyways, I started doing some word research into it after. And Hoolie is also a Scottish golf term that means blowing a strong wind.
Yeah.
So look, man, if there's ever signs out there, and I hope I didn't do all this because of the coincidence here. But it felt like it was a sign to move forward, man. I just want to throw it in there really quick.
Yeah, that's just great information. It's so true. I mean, I've never firefighters. That's their favorite tool in the world. Obviously, I was not a breacher, but I used to watch all the guys breach this. Do the real breaching, and I'm like, get to use the Halligan tool, and I was like, I can jump on that. It's just such an awesome thing. So it
Yeah.
really does mesh well between your post and your present. So that's pretty cool.
No, man. Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. So you've created this idea. What's cool? You get to walk it through a full business program. So you're actually building it from the ground up there. And now you've launched. What do you do?
Yeah, man. I'll tell you what. Reality sets in. That's what happens. Is you have this honeymoon phase of graduating a program, and even that honeymoon phase extends to our launch, right? Because, I had about a year. I was building up an audience. People were excited for us to launch, and then that passes by, and then the reality sets in. Is okay. Shit, man. We have to run all the facets of a business. We've researched this to death, but okay, what the hell do we do? And that's what I particularly this year in particular has uh, has been about learning and trying to tighten everything up. So we've tightened up our manufacturing. Just trying to get better at everything. We're still figuring out the marketing piece, and I'm teaching myself how to essentially be a salesman, how to promote, which is a foreign muscle to many of us, especially who spent a year being kind of a quiet professional to being, out on social media and trying to tell the story and trying to, connect with our audience, trying to find other Hoolies out there. And there's a lot that goes into. You're an entrepreneur as well. Been a part of a bunch of different organizations there. You know the deal, man. You're working with a small team. You're overtasked. You're under resourced. You got to get creative. You're wearing tons of different hats, um, and you just got to figure it out, right? And you just got to be motivated. You got to wake up every day and just, man, I'm going to push this rock uphill. If I get it, a foot up there, we'll call that success. It's going to roll back 3 feet overnight, and then we'll deal with that tomorrow. But yeah, man. So it's like I've had my hands in everything. From accounting to, we do have a designer, but one thing I've learned over the last year and a half is I actually like the design aspect of it. So I do a lot of the creative. There's a couple polos and hats that I've jumped in and personally designed, because I mean, really, that's like where my energy is creating cool things that other people can enjoy. I like the idea of building things, and certainly we're in the building process, man. So it's not look entrepreneurship. We kind of hit on it earlier. If you're trying to break out of the mold in terms of like, I don't want to be a corporate guy, I don't want to have to do this, I don't want to have a boss. Like, obviously, being your own boss or working in a small team where you can control your schedule, your life, your culture. Those are all great things, man, but it is a grind. So just be prepared for that. And anyone who's kind of hits me up and they have a entrepreneurial idea, I just make sure to reinforce that because it sounds, and I remember during business school, people, we had entrepreneurs come and talk to us, and they just tell these horror stories of how hard they worked for the first couple years, first decade. And yeah, man, I mean, just imagine you have this thing that is relying on you, right? And maybe a small team. And there's no one telling you what the right answers are. There's no one giving you like the right direction. You don't know if you're doing the right thing half the time. It's hard to see progress when you're like so sucked in. It's about accessing some of those things which I think we're pretty good at in the military in general, is that grit, that resilience of just staying in the fight and moving forward. But yeah, look, man, there's a lot of pluses to it as well. I really enjoy what I'm doing. I've connected with some great people. We're making some really cool products. It's great to hear feedback from customers who love it. I feel myself golfing, which is kind of ridiculous. But I do get to do some golf. I get to share kind of my love for the game. Um, so yeah, lots of fun, man. We're grinding. We're trying to figure all that stuff out, and slowly just trying to improve and professionalize ourselves and grow.
Every time you pop up on my feed on social, you're swinging a club. Every single time, like there he goes again, swinging a club, swinging a club. It's hilarious. Your
Yeah,
videos are great, man.
Thanks, man. People think I golf every day and just to clear the air. I do not, right? So, like, I golf. Especially during my busy weeks, I'll golf once a week. Which for some, everyone's like, "Oh yeah, it's great." Well, this whole Hoolie thing's getting in the way of my golf game here. People, you got to understand, right? It's a lot of work, so I'm not getting out as much as I would like. But there are weeks and times when I can clear this schedule a little bit. I can get out a couple different times. Yeah, man, it's fun.
So you got all kinds of swag. Talk to me about like what your goal is with this. Like what do people who've never heard of Hoolie before, they've never seen your website, what do
Yeah.
you offer and where do you want to take this?
Yeah. So if you look at myself as like archetype number one, Hoolie archetype number one, I am trying to connect Hoolie with action guys out there. These are guys who come from all walks of life, right? You mentioned being competitive minded. These are competitive minded folks who don't like losing, don't like sucking at stuff, and they find golf, right? So, whether they're athletes, former athletes, gym rats, fighters, surfers, military, law enforcement, business people, um, you know, high school golfers from another decade or whatever it is. It's trying to connect these people and trying to give them a brand because I felt that there wasn't. Yeah, I was very uncomfortable when I joined golf for a while. You have to wear polos, so like you go to golf courses, they mandate that you wear a polo, right? And so I was wearing all of these gross looking polos. I looked just like an old dork, And I was like, man, this is a problem here. Like you have these guys who, I mean, shit, man. I used to tour punk rock bands, back in high school. I love hardcore music, 80s action movies. Like, it's like I just don't fit in with this kind of traditional golf culture. And there's a lot of other folks out there. We're trying to connect with them, and we're trying to create this community of these like-minded, um, folks who see the world in a certain way, can conquer life. They can't conquer golf, and I truly want to create a community. And in how that kind of unfolds, I don't know yet, but I have some ideas, meetups, other sorts of events. I would like to get into eventually, if we're able to have some success, into the nonprofit space. I think there's some great things that we could do for veteran golfers as well. I would love to connect people with golf. I think aside from being this goofy sport that is highly addicting, there's a highly therapeutic aspect to it. Um, there's the camaraderie of being with a group of other people. uh, I tell you what, like there was a time in my life where I really didn't like being around strangers,
Yeah.
and going out and being a single, walking onto a course and getting paired up with other guys will help you kind of get through that. And yeah, man, it's a big. I almost predominantly golf really early in the morning, so I show up. It's still dark out. It's pitch black. The sun is coming up. There's not a whole lot of noise, birds chirping, dew on the ground. It's pretty peaceful, and even if you're playing shit golf, it is relaxing. It's enjoyable. Um, so yeah, man, it's we got big designs for Hoolie, and it just kind of depends on what the market response is over the next couple of years. Because again, I think really the core of our brand is an ethos. It's a mindset, it's a shared spirit, and that transcends golf. It goes into other sports. It goes into other facets of life. And yeah, man, it's kind of we'll have to check in here in a couple of years to see where we are. But we can take this a lot of different ways. But right now, we're just hyper focused on creating really cool golf apparel that guys in that category can relate to and enjoy.
I love it because so I've been in the charity space for a long time, and a lot of these different groups I want to partner over the years, they want to do golf tournaments and that. So I'd show up and I'm like, God, I don't even have a polo because I don't golf. And so I
Yeah.
go and I have to buy something at the store or the shop, and I'm like, oh, this is huge. Makes me look like I have titties. It's big on my
Nerd.
arm. Oh yeah, and then of course everybody else that like gets into the golf scene, they wear the Masters. It's always the Masters. I'm like, do you even play golf?
Yeah.
Like, no. I'm like, okay, cool. So this really is putting an edge, a really cool sizzle and an edge on the golf community because it is. It's the big companies, the Titleists, and all these companies that exist, but it's all just like geared towards a specific demographic of people. It's old school stuff. It's not edgy. It's not super cool. Like it was cool when Tiger Woods came out with his line because then it was like, oh, there's neat stuff here. Nike entered the sport, but now this is even edgier, and that's cool. It's giving it a refresh, which is super exciting. Talk to me about your product line. Like, what do you have currently?
Yeah, right now we are basically waist up. So we're polos, t-shirts, hats, beanies, hoodies. That line will continue to grow. It will with luck as we grow, we'll add the lower half, so pants, shorts, all that stuff. Right now, our flagship product is our printed polos. It's a high performing polo, so it's wicks away moisture. It's got that four-way stretch, so it just feels really good, fits really good. We got some really cool designs, and it's kind of an eclectic bunch of designs. A lot of them tell these little stories. So if you're kind of interested in, just something that means something rather than this like mindless pattern that someone created up, like all these patterns and things that we're doing, there's some meaning behind it. Whether that's my story or there's some ode to some other nostalgia or golf thing or whatever. Um, but yeah, man, that's kind of it. Right now, we are developing a limited women's line, which we're looking to, and we may start out really small, but there is some demand out there. And for the ladies, you know, I'm sorry, we're working as fast as we can, but hopefully we'll have some stuff out this next year. And yeah, just see where it goes, man. It's ultimately our ability to introduce new things will just kind of be a product of how fast we grow, and that's kind of the unknown whenever you have a young business is the kind of rate at which that growth happens.
Absolutely. Well, I know that big thing on marketing that I've seen over the last, decade since I've been out is your passion is going to be your marketing. So, you can have the coolest product in the world and there's no passion, you can't see it, then it's
Yeah,
like, I'm not feeling this. Your brand is your passion, right? And so the more that you show that excitement, the more that you're getting that out and everybody's fueled off of that energy. Like you're not just wearing this Hoolie shirt or hat because I play golf. No, because I want to crush everybody on the course today and I'm going to smash them because I'm part of this elite club, this tribe, right? So
yeah,
that's the
yeah.
sweet stuff.
Man, it's interesting. If I can just pull up some of the internet haters. I'm not sure if you've dealt with these folks at all, but these folks that are on their couch and just dropping a little bit. Saying, we don't get too much, to be fair, um, but we do get some, and they're calling out my shit golf swing, or it's like, man, you are so missing the point. Just spend a couple seconds. This is not about me being a great golfer.
Yeah.
This is about the chase. This is about being competitive. That's something we can all relate to. So really, hoolies are all walks of life, and that doesn't preclude good golfers from being hoolies. I certainly know there are some, and I hope there's going to be more. And then there's some shit golfers and everything in between, man. And it's yeah, if one thing I bring, and hopefully people see that, you never know what people actually get from social media and how much people think is contrived. But I deeply love the game. I mean, so much so that I created this damn company, trying to follow this passion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like I live and die on the golf course every single week. I love it. I love everything about it. And yeah, we're putting that to the test, man. You hope that if you really are passionate about something, other people will pick up on that. And more so, I'm trying to tap into that passion, from our customers out there and our potential customers as well.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, man, like for those so-called haters, yeah, I've dealt with it for quite some time. I think people generally don't like me, and that's totally awesome, right? So I don't have any time anymore to deal with that shit. And one of my good
Yeah.
friends told me one time, is like, don't even deal with it. Just let everybody else, you'll see your friends come in and jam on them. But I was just like, if somebody comes in with a stupid comment, I'm like, cool, thanks, like and subscribe, just send it right back at them. Like,
Uh,
enjoy, have fun, please come join us. Cause again, we're creating this awesome piece. All right. So if you had everything in the world, 5-year plan, 10-year plan, whatever, what would you want to see Hoolie Golf become?
I would love for us to be a nationally recognized brand. Yeah, that would be it, man. That means that we have reached our audience. We've expanded into different categories, and we're looking to build it out. We have some sort of golf nonprofit started, and are starting to make an impact. So that latter part is important to me. I don't have a roadmap for that yet, but I just know. I mean, man, you look at all the different organizations out there, how they raise money. A lot of them do it via golf, right? So I know there's an opportunity there. Yeah, man. Who knows? Who knows? That it's just we're going to push this thing as far as it will go, and make it as great as it can be.
Hey, I'm going to say this PSA right now. Like, if you are a military, a veteran, special operator, if you are a first responder, a firefighter, and you don't buy this swag and you're a golfer, you are fucking wrong. Just FYI. So there's
Yeah,
that.
love it. And on that, we have a standing 20% discount for all first responders, active duty military veterans. So yeah, we want to honor their service by at least giving them that.
That's awesome, man. What else do we not know about Hoolie?
Um, Man, I don't know. I think we hit on most of it there.
That's awesome, man. Well, I know the struggles of putting it together, and I've never really, like, we used to just get on our asses about swag for our charity. Like, we had to buy it and then we had to ship it and get the addresses, and it was just a nightmare. And we didn't have the manufacturing and distribution and all that stuff because we were just a
Yeah.
charity. Like, we don't do swag. But I've talked to some guys who have owned companies before, and it is a process for sure. But like you said, you pulling together these tribes, connecting with the military groups, putting these charters together and spreading the word through these groups will help ignite the fire to get it faster growing. And if you are out there and you are connected to golf, if you are connected to companies that write articles on golf, um, if you know pro golfers, any of the above, and we can help, because this is a PSA to help Bobby. He served 20 plus years in the special operations community. Now it's our time to give back and help him out. So if you're involved in golf or know somebody in golf, or you have any leads towards helping him grow and expand, please reach out to him. His information will be at the end of this, so you can contact him, and let's help him grow. I always I always want to say this to kind of tie into the back is, we don't give any time in this to really share your story, and it's super important. People, we just breeze through the fact, like, your special operations, check next, now here we are, but you dedicated your whole life. One thing I always ask everybody is, tell us who your hero is and why.
Oh man, that is such a tough one there. So many along the way. Um, Man, I'll just say my family, honestly. Especially going through those were a tough 20 years. I ended up doing better part of 9 deployments there. My wife in particularly, just having to, keep the family, moving forward, right, and trying to minimize that impact. I could not have done what I did without her, and my kids, just taking it like champs for all that time that I was gone. So, yeah, man, I think that's probably the best way I can go with that.
I mean, there's nothing better. I always say, when you're going overseas, we get new guys that come in and are like, "Hey, Bird, what got any advice for me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, who are you fighting for?" And they're like, "Oh, United States of America." I'm like, "No, you're fighting for your family, because what's the point of fighting if you got nothing to come home to?" So
Yeah,
that's awesome.
and your brothers.
Always. Well, that's inevitable. But when you get
Yeah,
overseas, it's like, I remember being with T Bags, and just, I was like fighting with him all the time over video games overseas. And it's just like, he's still the same, hasn't changed.
yeah, it's awesome, man.
Dude. Well, I appreciate you being on, man, and I appreciate what you've done. You know, you're one of those guys that even though I got out early, I still look at guys like you and I'm like, man, that's what I wish I did, because you know, you cannot duplicate the brotherhood outside of the service. Doesn't matter how cool you create something, that brotherhood, that's a special place and a special sauce that exists really only there. And so, you know, I applaud you for doing the full career. I don't know why you guys always transition to warrant officers. I got to still figure that out because I only served 8, so I never really understood the novelty of what a warrant officer did.
No one does. Don't feel bad, man. Yeah.
But we're going to push this out to everybody, brother, and we're going to make some connections for you. And just keep on the path, man. Stay in that creative spirit. That is the best place that you can be. If you are not creating and you're wondering why you're not feeling so great, it's not because your company is hurting. It's because you're not in the creative space. So stay creative,
good
man.
point, man.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, you have it there. We got Leadbob, a.k.a. Bob Holland. And go check out HoolieGolf.com. And let's spread some love for him.
All right. Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate it, man.
Absolutely.
Frogman Friday.